did worse than anybody thought it would have done. Okay, so those numbers that they said around 45 million to 50 million were correct. Of course, you can't really put a pinpoint. They always do a range, which is a much better choice. But the movie is the lowest opening in the Marvel history. Okay, we'll talk about the other movies later. Okay, but this entire video will be about the Marvels. Will be about this movie. Okay, this movie opened very similar to The Flash globally. Both this movie, the best comparison for the Marvels is The Flash. Okay, and The Flash actually held on. Okay, this movie costed 220 something million to make. Okay, the Marvels is currently at a loss of 442 million. Will it beat the Dial of Destiny's awful numbers of 452 negative millions? It'll probably do better than that movie. And better than Killers of the Flower Moon, which we have now updated for this week so far. Because we will update that movie later with all the other movies. But the Marvels is currently at a negative $442 million for Disney. And we can compare this to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Another really bad movie. If this movie does like the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, okay, this movie will barely pass $100 million. Barely, like The Flash did. Okay, it might not even hit $100 million domestic. It will probably hit around $150 million internationally, similar to The Flash, and it will probably make the same amount of money as The Flash, making it the lowest grossing MCU movie in history. Okay, and everybody talk about, what about the Hulk? Okay, what about the Hulk? We'll get to the Hulk. Okay. The Incredible Hulk is the lowest grossing Marvel movie at 265 million. It would be pretty hilarious if this global total is lower than The Incredible Hulk and lower than The Flash. These are the two best comparisons for the Marvels. Okay, both of these movies, however, opened higher than The Incredible Hulk. Okay, if it doesn't for a facing, The Incredible Hulk made much more money than the Marvels, making it the lowest grossing movie in the MCU history. Because if it doesn't for a facing, there is no way that Marvels is going to pass The Incredible Hulk. Not only this movie is going to lose a lot of money at the box office, it is going to lose a lot. It's going to become the lowest grossing Marvel movie in history. Okay? It's going to become, a movie that nobody likes. Okay? A movie that no one wants to see. Okay? Because no one cares about these characters, especially Brie Larson. Okay? People don't like Brie Larson, contrary to her Sims like to tell you. People do not like her. Okay? And then you have Miss Marvel, a character that almost nobody knows about. And then you have Monica Rambeau, who is just as boring and uninteresting as Captain Marvel. Okay? With the same boring expressions. Do you know what's funny? People said the best part of the movie was, guess what? Miss Marvel was the best part about the movie. That's what people said. Because he's the only person who actually, cared about the character she was playing. Brie Larson or the other girl do not have any care whatsoever in the Marvels whatsoever. This was a disaster waiting to happen. Okay? This was a massive disaster waiting to happen. Okay? That's how bad this movie is. Okay? This year has been a failure for movies. Okay? It had some successful movies, but it had a lot of failures. Killers of the Flower Moon. Okay? Mission Impossible, Fast X, The Little Mermaid remake. Okay? And of course, The Dial of Destiny and Haunted Mansion. Of course, most of those movies have one. Oh yeah, and also this year we had Shazam and the Dungeons and Dragons movie. Okay? Which I think both of those movies did really well in streaming. Which means, because of stream, they might get a third chance, a second chance at streaming. Okay? Like some of these flops, like Elemental, okay, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and Dungeons and Dragons, all had second lives on streaming. So that isn't really that fair to talk about those movies, because those movies, especially Dungeons and Dragons, may become a cult classic movie in the future. And which means they're probably gonna make a sequel to it with a lower budget, probably on Paramount Plus. Plus exclusive. Maybe they might put it in the theaters, but maybe they might, put out. Of course, I can put it on Paramount Plus, but Dungeons and Dragons did pretty well on Paramount Plus, and Shazam did pretty well on HBO Max. Okay, and Elemental is doing really well on Disney Plus. More than likely, we'll probably get a sequel to Elemental and Dungeons and Dragons, given the streaming success. But I don't see the Marvels doing well on streaming at all. Okay, streaming sometimes gives movies a second life. They really do. Streaming can save a movie from being a failure. Okay, yes, Shazam is still a box office failure. It's still a box office bomb, but it could have a second life on streaming, Blu-ray, DVD, and other formats. Okay, digital formats. Okay, it could have a second life on streaming because a lot of people who own HBO Max say, "There's a second Shazam movie? Gotta go see this." Okay, and the second Shazam movie is actually pretty alright. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still pretty alright. So, and I think another example of a movie like this is the Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Okay, another movie that is considered a box office failure. But that movie is definitely going to do really, really well on Paramount Plus, really, really well on digital markets and Asia. It's going to do really, really well on digital sales. Okay, that's how much streaming can help a movie. And I think the biggest example of this in the past couple of years is Encanto. Encanto was a massive box office bomb and failure due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But because of Disney Plus, the movie became a massive hit. That even though it is a box office bomb and a box office failure, people don't call it a failure because of how well it did on streaming. Another example of this could be like Fast X and the Transformers movies. Both of those movies are going to do very well in Asian sub-hand markets, same thing as Mission Impossible. And all those three franchises do really, really well on streaming in Asian markets. Okay, to almost box office for those movies don't really matter. Okay, but the problem with the Marvels is that it's not gonna have that second life on streaming. It is not gonna have a second life on streaming. Same thing of Killers of the Flower Moon might, but Little Mermaid also kind of had a second life on streaming too. Not as much as something like Mission Impossible will, because people love that IP. Okay. Especially in Asia, especially same thing with Fast and the Furious, especially in Asia, people love that IP in Asia. People love watching it on streaming. But the difference between all those movies, like Encanto, okay, Fast X, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, Dungeons and Dragons, Shazam: Fury of the Gods, all were box office failures. Okay, the difference between this and the Marvels is that nobody likes this movie. Okay. When people gave those movies a chance, they liked the movie. The movie those movies got a second chance. Okay, Mario's doing pretty well on streaming as well. Okay, Dungeons and Dragons did all those movies did really well on streaming, but not the Marvels. The Marvels will not do well on streaming. The Marvels will continue losing money and continue losing money. Okay, this is a movie that will not have a second life. Heck, even The Flash did well on HBO Max. Okay. Even The Flash did well on HBO Max, and Suicide Squad did too. Another massive box office bomb that was saved by HBO Max. Okay, streaming can save a box office failure. It can, but sometimes it doesn't. Like Dial of Destiny, I don't think anyone watched Dial of Destiny on streaming. Okay, and I don't think anyone watched Haunted Mansion either. Okay, those movies didn't get a second life on streaming at all. Okay, and usually Disney dominates the movie section for streaming. Okay, like Frozen and stuff. Okay, I think Risk, even if it bombs the box office, considering the fact that a lot of people still have Disney Plus, I think that movie in Elemental will still do really well on Disney Plus. Okay, so yes, Risk and Elemental can bomb at the box office, but those movies can do extremely well on streaming. That Disney is doubling down on Elemental and giving fans of that movie more and more and more. Okay. Here, okay, and the Marvels, however, there was no saving the Marvels. There was no saving Brie Larson's failures. Okay, there was nothing saving this movie. Okay, nobody wants to see this movie in China. It's doing horribly in China. Actually, they don't have Chinese numbers for this movie, but I bet it's doing like no money in China. And it's the lowest opening for MCU movie ever. $110 million global opening. I think they have the numbers here. Came in really well. There's no tell for the Mario and audience score, but critics are thrashing. Because the critics are not paid by fucking Disney, that's why! Okay? The critics in Disney, critics in China are not paid and bought for by Disney. That's why they see this movie and say, this movie's fucking dog shit. Okay? This movie's fucking dog shit. We don't want to watch this. Okay? The FNAF movie made around $252 million, also becoming Blumhouse's highest grossing movie now. Okay? Killers of the Flower Moon is having decent ratings internationally. I thought that movie wouldn't do too well internationally, but it is doing pretty well internationally. Okay? Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, made another $2.5 million internationally as well, adding to a global total of $240 million, which is very good for a concert movie. Okay? There's a reason why. Okay? Because anyone with a functioning brain knows that the Marvels is a pile of garbage if they see it. Okay? It may not be the worst movie like Moon said it was, because, yes, there are movies that are objectively far worse, but type of like this worst movie, okay, maybe among the worst movies, okay, maybe one of the most frustrating and most mediocre piles of turds in the history of movies. I have not seen the Marvels, but I think the movie is, let's look at the trailers, they look like you are watching a steaming pile of shit on the screen, okay. Even Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania, that movie was garbage as well, okay. That movie was complete ass, it was complete trash, okay. But it's not too surprising that no one cares about the Marvels. It's not too surprising. Okay? China is not even here. Okay, so as expected, no one is watching this movie in China. Okay? So the MCU is doing horrible. Disney has killed yet another franchise. Disney is basically the EA of movies at this point. Okay, Disney is the fucking EA of movies. No wonder why they work so well together. Okay, no wonder why Disney works with EA. No wonder why Disney wants to buy EA, because both of them have a lot in common. Both Disney and EA have a lot in common. EA is the killer of gaming studios, and Disney is the killer of franchises. Disney killed Star Wars, Pixar, Marvel, okay? What else is next? Oh yeah, they killed Indiana Jones. Let's not forget about that. They killed off that IP, they killed off that brand, okay? These are some of the highest selling brands in the world, and Disney killed them, okay? While people were complaining, oh, but Sony, the Nintendo team, okay, did Sony kill off any of the franchises? They almost killed off Ghostbusters, but they still redeemed themselves with the last Ghostbusters movie. And the next one, they still are ignoring that garbage 2016 movie. And the fans of that movie, the two fans that exist, can cry all they want, but they ain't gain a sequel to the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. Okay, that movie was a flop. Okay, it was a failure. Okay, it was a failure. Okay. Yeah, okay. Until DC was the, studio that was DC was the one that was hurt. Okay, because DC's movies varied in quality. Okay, and that hurt DC in the long run. But Marvel seems to be joining DC in the failures. People say there was superhero fatigue. But people are so excited for Invincible Season 2 and The Boys Season 4. People are still want to see One Punch Man. Okay? People still love Dragon Ball. Okay? Those are superhero IPs that are not ruined. That are not dead. Okay? People probably still want to see freaking Spider-Verse 3. Okay? It is because Marvel killed themselves. Disney killed another IP. Okay? Can people get this through their thick heads? Okay? There's no such thing as superhero fatigue because Dragon Ball is still around. Okay? Millions of people are still enjoying Dragon Ball Z, and you can consider, I'm counting Dragon Ball Z as a superhero movie. Okay? Superhero TV show. The Boys is going to still do pretty well. Invincible is still going to do pretty well. But there's supposedly superhero fatigue. Okay, supposedly there's superhero fatigue, but people still want to see Invincible and still want to see The Boys. Okay, that is the funniest thing in the world. Okay, The Boys season 4 will probably do better than Loki season 2. Okay, that will be the funniest thing in the world. Okay, save it Invincible season 2. Okay, Invincible was a great show. Okay, it was a great show. It was much better than a lot of MCU movies. Okay, even the good ones. Okay, that were released before 2020. Okay, The Boys was really great. I can't wait to see the. I hope The Boys makes fun of this movie. It'll be pretty funny if they do. Okay, okay, and let's not forget the endless amount of shonen anime that'll keep getting produced and keep coming out. Okay, shonen anime can be considered like superhero, you know, as well, because you have a hero that is going with superpowers that is coming to save the day, that has to stop the big bad villain. Okay, shonen anime is not gonna die unless it goes like super woke and becomes complete garbage. Okay, but anime, My Hero Academia is still really popular. But we're supposedly having a superhero fatigue. Okay, I just don't believe it. Okay, shonen anime is doing pretty well, especially stuff like My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball, Naruto. Okay, heck, Boruto is not good, but it's still doing better than the Marvels. Okay, it's still doing better than Brie Larson's The Marvels. Okay, yeah. And that's it about this video here. Goodbye.